Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Altar to Empire. So, I really want to dive into your intuition today and how to bring that into your business and blend it with the strategy so it becomes more of a beautiful web that you're weaving and less of a one or the other. Because it's very easy for us to feel like we have to pick between our intuition and the strategy. But the reality is that you can absolutely have both. And I think this is something that most people think is true, but then they don't really actually know how to implement it, right? So I'm going to walk you through how to actually implement this so you can start creating and using those beautiful intuitive downloads in your business. So say you are out and about and you get this really interesting thought or download, or maybe you're in the shower or, cooking dinner or something random, right? It's always random. Or maybe you're just sitting on the couch, like with, a cup of tea, and you're just like cozy with a blanket, and you get this really cool idea for, say an offer, or, even sometimes it doesn't even feel related to an offer. So it pops in and you're like, what can I do with this, right? And it like something that just lights you up. And you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, how can I use this? So the first step of this is to actually I want you to write it down, write down your download, right? You're going to put it in a journal, you're going to put it in a notebook, or you're going to put it in your phone, in your notes. Like I have a notes app that I drop all my downloads into that I love. And that's where they all go to live. So once I have it, I let it sit there. I give it like a good day or two. Sometimes if it's a bigger download, I let it go longer. With the recent masterclass that I just launched, I did that with I literally just did it like one piece at a time, and it came in over like a month. And I got little niblets of it each week. I would get something new for it. So I would build and create. But when I got the initial download, I was like, I don't know what this is, right? I was like, oh, this is cool. I really like this, but I didn't have all the information. So I was like, okay. So I just kind of simmered on it. And then, it's just kind of, you have to just allow the rest of it to drop through. Now, where the strategy comes in is understanding the different ways you can structure your offers and how to build them together so that you end up with some kind of final, right? You're trying to lead people through your offer suite, right? So it's not just creating one single offer. You're wanting to also remember that your offer suite needs to be built to move people through it, right? So you have, say, like for me, it was the masterclass, right? You can do this in so many different ways, but I chose to turn my download into a masterclass because I was like, oh, this is perfect because I have this big, larger program temple, and I want to create something that is going to build trust and help move people through, right? So you could do something similar. So you get this download, you let it set, and you're like, okay, do I want to create a masterclass? Do I want to create a private podcast with it? Do I want to create a live training? Do you want to drop something into your community? Do you want to create a post or, connect in the stories, like whether it's on, TikTok or Instagram or whatever platform, right? Do you want to bring it to life like that, right? Do you want to create a video or, and you can come up with that, but then understanding the strategy of like, how does that puzzle piece fit into the larger structure of your business, right? How do you create that flow and movement? So the next step is then once you get the other pieces of it, as they kind of funnel in, you can then decide, hey, I think this would be a perfect post, right? or, ooh, I like this as a masterclass, or, ooh, I like this as a training. And then once you decide that, then the rest of the pieces will probably come in, because the way your intuition works, it's going to adjust a little bit to really help you build out whatever physical container, whatever physical representation you are wanting to create out of this, okay? So your intuition is something that's alive, right? It's not something that is just one, it's not one-dimensional. Your intuition's multidimensional. So it's natural that you would have the ability to tap into the different options that come with that download, right? And how you want to express it. So the next step is once you figure out how you want to bring it to life, right? Which you'll probably even kind of get intuitively as well. But then you start creating with it. You have to start bringing it to life. So start talking about it in your stories, start talking about it, start promoting it, start putting it out into the world, even though it's not finished yet, right? You're going to bring it to the world. You're just going to start giving little hints of it. You don't have to be like, here's the whole structure, all the things, okay? You're just going to bring it out in the little pieces. You're just going to do the same thing with, it's the same as the way your intuition works. You're going to drop it as your intuition drops it to you. Okay. So just drop the little nuggets and give yourself space. When you're creating an offer from your intuition, you need to make sure you're giving it space to grow and space to really come to life. Okay. And so start building out the modules. If it's, say you want to do a mini course out of it instead, right? Start building out those modules. Even if it's just one at a time, even if they're just, 5 to 10 minute videos, right? Build the sections, start creating the presentation that goes with it. If you choose to do it that way, right? There's infinite ways of really creating and birthing this. It's just finding what works best for you, and also what communicates really well with your audience and your ideal clients, right? So the next phase is, once you've started kind of dropping it and bringing it to life, you just continue that process. This becomes your launch essentially, okay? And it becomes very soft and gentle. It doesn't feel rushed and forced. You do have, the different stages of launching, right? Which is what we want to incorporate, which is kind of like the tease, which is the, as it drops intuitively. You want to be reaching out to your email list. You want to be reaching out to your, whatever platform you're on. Say you're on Substack, you can do the same thing there, or YouTube, or any of the platforms, right? You can start just putting out information about it. Share the downloads that you get about the program, or the, whatever you're turning this into. And then you go deeper and deeper with it, right? And then you don't even have to pick a specific date at the end if you don't want to. You can simply just allow it to kind of drop through when needed. It does help to have a specific date. For mine, I dropped it. It took me a couple of weeks to really decide when the right date was. And it worked out that it was October 31st. I was like, this is perfect, because it lines up with, the veil being thin, and that mine was the return of the Oracle. So I was like, yes, this is going to be perfect to line up with, the October 31st and that kind of threshold, right? So I chose the date, but I just kind of created, initially it was more of a wait list, and just said here, built out the email funnel, and then created updates from that. The next part of it was, as far as the launch goes, was to then really give more of the details behind it and the why, right? Why they should care. It's who cares about, being an oracle and bringing that into your business. Well, okay, this is why it matters, right? It matters because we are here to shift and change and to bring our intuitive gifts into the world, and not just, for fun. Like, there are legitimate evolutionary benefits from us bringing our intuition into a very practical setting, right? So creating and building that understanding of like why it's important, and then all of the features of that, right? And then all the while, I am still thinking about how to link this and build towards what I teach and how I facilitate in my larger, 1-year program, right? It's 13 months. And I'm like, okay, how does this funnel into that, right? How does this build a foundation for that program? Because that's what I am creating this for. And it's very intentional, right? This isn't just me kind of going on a whim. This is where we are blending that logic and that funnel and that understanding and creating that foundation with this beautiful intuitive download that I've gotten, right? So once you've really honed in how this is coming to life, right? Whether you decide to do a mini course, whether you decide to do a, maybe it's an email funnel, like it's like videos that they can watch, or it's, a private podcast or something, however you want to bring this to life, is really about making sure you then follow through on all of it. Because I know downloads kind of have this energy that they come in real strong at first and then they can kind of fizzle out. But I want you to make sure that when you get this download, if you decide to do something with it like this, you need to make sure you see it from beginning to end. Okay? So if you create, all 3 parts of this mini course, or all sections and all audios of this podcast, or, or the masterclass, or however you're building it out, make sure you follow through on it, because if you don't follow through on it, it loses the overall impact and frequency of it. Not just that, we need to keep those promises to ourselves, and especially with your intuition, how it works is like when you get that drop and then you do something with it and you follow through, you then get more downloads. You then get more information because you're completing that circuit and it's creating space for more and more and more, right? So it's essentially a beautiful way of when you follow through on that download, even if you're like, oh, I don't know, or like you're hesitant because you have, maybe some limiting beliefs behind it, or maybe it's not what everyone else is doing, or, it's not industry standard, but like follow through all the way and hit those, however many parts, like do it for you, do it for your intuition. Because honestly, that's going to help you, 1, build more confidence and trust in yourself. But 2, it's also going to end up showing your ideal people that you follow through with things, right? So it's both ends of this. This isn't just a one-way street. And really, like, the feeling and the completion that you get from bringing that download into life, right? However you choose to do that, is it creates physical space in your body and in your energetic field as well. And when you do that, it gives room for more to come in. And so this is not just the downloads that are going to be receiving, but it's the results that are coming from this, right? You're creating space for those clients, for the movement of this space to come together, okay? So it's not just like, oh, I have to complete this because I have to do this. When you're completing that, you are sending that energetic signal that even if you do it a little wobbly, because I know trusting our intuition is actually something that it can feel a little uncomfortable, right? Because most of the time it's things that most other people aren't doing, right? Our intuition's actually pretty unique in that way. But it's bringing together so many different things that you can't see, right? That unseen level of support that is coming in is being honored when you finalize and bring these intuitive downloads into your business, okay? So when you get that strong pull, do it and finish it. Even if you need to take, like for mine, I ended up taking 2 to 3 weeks for the last section of it for me to release it. I built out the first section, the second section, and then the third section. I was really I was getting a lot of information, but I was also, to be honest with you, I was struggling with my own personal limiting beliefs on that. So it took me a little bit extra time, but I was like, nope, I have to put this out, right? Even if, I don't get the results that I'm looking for, all the things, but I just there was this deep knowing that I need to finish this, right? So I ended up doing a bunch of inner work. I sat with myself. I did some tapping. I know people think they're overrated, but I personally really like affirmations. I speak them out loud because when you speak out loud, certain affirmations, it helps rewire your brain. And I also do my deep healing work. I bring in, I have my healing work that I do with my dragon, and I also work with deities and my altar. And so I also incorporated all of these things into this process. Don't think that this process was so simple and easy, because your intuition is always going to challenge you to some degree, right? It's going to challenge some level of what you already believe and what's kind of maybe even standing in the way of you getting where you want to go. So use the spiritual tools that you have, use the, your intuitive connection to yourself to really ask yourself questions like, why am I avoiding this? Why am I not doing these things? Why am I not pulling the trigger, right? Because those are the things that ultimately, when I walked through all of that, I was able to then legitimately just be like, yes, I can't wait to finish this last section. And yes, it did. It take me a little bit of extra time. It did. But I was still proud of what I put out, and I was proud of me doing it. And that gave me another level of fulfillment, not just because I knew that what I was bringing out into the world was helpful and needed, but because I was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. I took the time to make sure that it was exactly what I was looking for. Is it perfect? No. Do I stumble over my words in some of the videos? Yes. But at the end of the day, that overall piece of it is I love how it pulled together, and it pulled together so well because I also just let it flow. I didn't try to force every single section of it. I let it become its own thing. So it kind of is alive in its own way, right? It has that energetic structure to it. And that is something that I absolutely love about how I build out all of my offers and this is something that I teach all of my clients too, is how to build them out with so much of that energetic intention behind it, because that is where you're creating some of that additional magnetism. It's not just in you understanding and hearing and speaking to the right ideal client, right? It's also about you being very, very comfortable with who you are, right? As a healer, a practitioner, a coach, or a mentor, even a service provider of any kind. But the important thing is moving forward, understanding that energetic signature that you're placing on all of your offers is intertwined with the structure and how that offer is built out. and what purpose it's serving, right? Everything in your offer suite needs to serve a purpose and build towards something else, okay? Like, it all needs to work together and relate. And that's something that most people, I don't think, especially in the beginning, I know, like, I didn't understand that process, and I didn't understand that your offer suite is also a journey for your clients, right? And so just creating and building with so much intention and understanding how your offers work together, and also how your energy backs that, and then how to bring those beautiful intuitive downloads into the strategy where you aren't sacrificing your intuition because the strategy says, like, oh, I can't do this. That's not true. Like, you just need to find the right container, right? That framework is just a container to hold the download. So it's really just finding a beautiful match of the perfect strategy and or framework or funnel or whatever to hold and to allow that beautiful download to carve, right? To carve out and to create that space for movement in your business. So, yeah, this is one of the most helpful things that is really learning how to bridge the gap between the two, because it doesn't just open up, you know, the offers. It doesn't just open up, you know, you energetically. Like, it changes how you function in your business. It also changes how you bring money into your business. It changes so much because you are open in a very, very different way. And you're taking action and completing that circuit. Okay. So this is how you can start bringing those beautiful intuitive downloads into your offers and creating with them so that you can build out your beautiful business from all of that beautiful inherent wisdom that you already have inside of you.